Hey everybody, it's your boy CM Motivates. Welcome to another episode of More Than Just a Game, Week 2. And tonight we have a very special guest with us all the way from England. He has been an amazing athlete, achieved so much. League, Rugby, Wallabies, Tonga, professional country, NRL. And, he's kindly given up his time, to join us tonight to share a bit of insight into his career, but also, some takeaways or some nuggets that you can take away as the viewer to help you navigate through your journey, especially in this time of COVID. And so, tonight, like I said, we're very, very honored and very blessed to have the toko with us. They call him Arnolo, which stands for Arnold Schwarzenegger. They call him the Flash because when you watch him in his highlight reels, man, you look up and he's gone, right? So fast, but also so powerful. And not only is he a great athlete, but he's an amazing husband to his wife and father to his kids and a role model to the community. And so without further ado, I want to welcome to More Than Just a Game podcast. Toko himself all the way from England. Kupa VUNA, everybody give him a clap, everybody give him a clap there. If you're watching, give him a clap, give him a clap. Awesome, Toko, man. Welcome to the podcast, man. Man, how are you, bro?
Thanks for having me on, Toko.
Nah, no worries, man. I think it was a very, it's just perfect timing, to have you on. So now we thank you. I know it's a late night over there, and just for you putting your time aside, we're so grateful. How's the family, bro?
They're good, man. They're good. All the kids are all growing up, still out of school, so I'm trying my best to try and teach them maths and English, which is not my strengths, but my wife's doing a real good job at it. So, but yeah, they're good. All the family's good.
Nice, Toko. Hey, so how many kids now, Toko?
Yeah, so I've got 4, man. I've got 4. I had one in each country I've played in. So I started off in New Zealand, had my first son. Moved to Australia, to Melbourne, had my number 2, and number 3 in Japan, and then number 4 here in the UK. So very blessed to have them in my story, in my rugby career and my journey, and for them to be a part of it. It's amazing.
Man, that's what a blessing, man. Like, what a blessing for your kids to grow up and say, "Hey, where were you born?" I was born in Japan. Where were you born? I was born in England. Right? That's good because what it does is that, like, the kids that they will come across, it gives them like, wow, how did you get there? Oh, my dad was a famous rugby player, and they're like, wow, like, man, if your dad can do that, I can maybe do that one day, So your story that your kids tell will inspire others. Well, that's amazing. Sorry, Toko.
Yeah, no, it's good for them because it's a story that they can tell as well. So. All this thing of me going and traveling the world and carrying on through a vision I had, and dragging them along with me, it's good because it just adds that little story to when they grow up and want to share their story with everyone else. So no, it's nice.
That's awesome, man. And so 4 kids, and Toko, how do you do it? How do you still look like you're 18?
I wish I was, man. I wish I was. I don't think the body.
You haven't aged a bit, Docs, man. Oh, man. What kind of water do they have there in England?
Docs, I wish they had the coconut because they don't have that over here. But
was it the kawa? Is it the kawa?
Yeah, kawa seawater.
That's awesome, Doc. Well, like I said, we're so blessed to have you on the call. For those of you that don't know, I first came across, watching tonight, I came across Coops, played Suit Shield. He was already, NRL and played Super Rugby, but there was a game where we played against him and we became good friends after that. And before my wife and I moved to Melbourne, this man over here, Coops, he was like, Docs, when you get to Melbourne, give me a call. Who does that? This guy's famous, but that just shows his character. As I got down to Melbourne, gave him a call, and then this Toko here took me to Rebels training, this guy from, Western Sydney, New Zealand, come over here, and then this guy goes, come with me, and then we go there, and then Coops was just amazing, and a fact as well, if you're watching, my first kind of step into youth work in Melbourne was through Coops, and Coops, like I said to you before, Doko, before the interview, like, I never got a chance to thank you for, just the impact that you made on my life. And, I just wanted to kind of take this time to honor you and thank you and really, really appreciate you. And, you laid a seed in me, planted a seed in me, those years ago. And now I get to do what I do, because you helped on that journey. Bro. So you are as much, you're a very big part of the success of what I do now. So love to you. And
it's good, Knuckle. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that to see, you've come to another city and you've gone from a little seed to a big flower now, and you're growing and you're definitely sharing all your skills and your talent with all our youth, which is is amazing to see.
Nah, thank you, Toko. Nah, thank you, Asa. Yeah, everybody watching, everybody give Coops a clip, all right, just for his love, and he still continues to serve the community, even till now, and that's what it's about, to the athletes watching. Success is not about what you achieve; it's who you become in the journey, and how many people are better off because you lived. And so definitely take my hat off to you, Coops. Even though I'm not wearing a hat, my life is a lot better off because we connected, and so thanks, Toko.
And it's a blessing to connect in the great game that we play with rugby.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a game that connects a lot of dots and a lot of friendships, and it goes a long way, which is amazing. And I remember that day. I remember playing against you at Penrith, and you were carving up, Doggo. You're running over our team. I was like, oh man, someone has to stop this big Tonga. But bro,
I think when I ran into your shoulder, I was never the same after that. I'm walking off a limp right now because man, love those memories, Talks.
Stories, bro.
Thank you. Hey, just to start us off in our talk, in our catch up, I want to ask you some questions, and this is just a little warm-up question, just to stretch our vocal cords and stretch our minds, and and all that.
We singing, bro. We hit those high notes,
Hit those high notes, hit those high. So we say, just in case we don't do this, just going. Oh no. Those ones there, otherwise people will just turn off the camera.
Subscribe on my video.
But definitely our views will go up to 1 million now because you're on here, Dr. Zoom. Oh man! Just a question, just for the audience, just something to tell the audience is, growing up, Docs, growing up in New Zealand, we love to see your favour, or see your favour means watching movies. All right. So what's your favorite action movie? And who's the main character of the action movie? And can you do the accent of the action movie or that character? Let's say, for example, Phil's Arnold.
Action movie, far out, man. That's taking me some years back. I'd probably say Karate Kid, Doko. You remember Karate Kid? When Karate Kid came out?
Man, I remember standing on the pole.
Miyagi and oh, bro, that I tried to replicate that, and when I was in Cape Town, on the Big Table Mountain, I tried to replicate the into the stone, and I tried to do the Karate Kid thing. But I think Karate Kid was probably one of the action movies I quite enjoyed back in my days.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, Mr. Miyagi, and works on, works off. I don't know about you, talk about, but I used to watch those kind of movies there. I used to when I go do my own pretend karate in the garage, and then after that, I'll close my eyes and I'll pretend that I'm seeing the cloud and there's my master teaching me. Did you used to do that as well?
Was it the master? Or was it my dad with the belt just ready to for not doing any fitness?
I think I would have been in the same pose with the belt in the dad. Hey, took on 85 what?
With the closing eyes, I was closing my eyes, hoping I was going to finish the session so I could go home.
Oh, well, that's awesome. So, Karate Kid, for those who are watching, is a great movie. Lots to learn, things that you can apply to life. So, shot, Doko. Next question, Doko. If you were a superhero, all right, like you got the Avengers and that, like what would your superpowers be, And then also, what was your superhero name be?
Man, that's
if you were a new addition, to the Avengers, the Tongan vision of Marvel.
To be the Tongan Ninja.
Oh no!
The thing is, these days we've got different characters. We've got the Tongan Thor playing in Queensland. We got the Tongan Bear.
Bear.
All these Tongan Ninja. These heaps of different superheroes out there. But no, I think Iron Man will probably be my one. Nice. He's got the parts. He can fly. He's got pretty much every other character's superpowers, and he's the mastermind, I would say.
It says all rounder, right?
He's the all rounder. Yeah.
I love that because imagine trying to, fly, but then you can't even run, so that's cool. That's really fitting because you are the Mr. All Rounder, Mr. Skux, Mr. Arnoro, Mr. Speed, everything all in one. So now that's a good choice, Toko. And then the last question, Toko, is this is for all the young men, okay, the young men watching right now, okay. This is from the man himself, Mr. VUNA, aka Mr. Suave, aka Mr. Skux. All right. So, Coops, so you're married, all right, and all that. But before you're married, right, you had to kind of talk to your girlfriend, which is now your wife, all right. Now a lot of back in the days, we hid behind love letters that we used to spray with cologne.
Yeah.
I don't remember those days and
impulse days, is it?
Impulse days, and lynx days, and then our mums
sparked a little light bulb.
Our mums those musk colognes from our grandma and sprayed on the letter. And then so. Just for the young men watching right now, a lot of them one day will be fathers and husbands and all that. Yeah. So what if there's any young men that are wanting to, court someone or just tell someone that they care about them or like them, what was your approach and what would your advice be to these young men?
All right, my one is my wife was probably a good example. I was best friends with her cousin.
Yeah.
So the way I had to try to get to my wife was through my cousin, through her cousin, my best friend.
Yeah.
And he stayed up the road from me, so it wasn't too far away from my house. And what I did was, I tried to go to all his family events. So if they had a family event, I'll try to go just so that I could try to get closer and closer to my to my wife. But yeah, bro, it was one of those. I think it just fell on us that we kind of got together because she was looking for a partner at the ball and she tried to do another fake message to her cousin, but that message, accidentally came to my phone and
wow,
and I got it and then so we kind of connected like that.
You see, this is a good little trick over there, to the guys watching. If you like someone, be best friends with their cousin.
Yeah, go through the family because if you win the family's heart,
I loved it.
You're in there.
I loved it. I love it. That's great advice. Turn up to make best friends with the cousin. Turn up to the family feeds. And be that guy. With your one leg on the wall and just looking back at these ones. That. But some awesome advice there, Goose. That's so smooth. And to all the girls, right? All the girls that were watching. Okay. All right, make sure you make them work for it. Eh? Make sure you make them work for it.
Sure.
Make sure they they don't just come there and say, hey, you can have your number. Say, no, I don't want your number. Make them chase you. All right, so that's just a little bit of because today we're in a world where we're dating and now a lot of guys are hiding behind things and all that, and so just to kind of give a little bit of advice there. But we're going to switch gears from there to our next question, and that is getting to know you. All right, and so at the beginning I mentioned about NRL career, Wallabies, Tonga, now playing professionally in England and around the world. They had to be the beginning.
Yeah,
before Cooper VUNA got there, they had to be at the beginning. And so in this part of our talk, Doko, just if you can just share a bit about your upbringing, where you grew up, and then when did it spark in your heart that, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and I want to throw all my in, I want to be all in for it, and go 100%. Like when did that start? You know, where did you go to school? And yeah, talk us through those early years, Coops.
Yeah, for sure. So I was brought up in Utahu, in Otahu, in South Auckland. Born and bred in South Auckland. Family of 5.
Wow.
Family of 8, I would say. 3 of the older ones, my mum kind of left them in America.
Yeah.
And 5 of us that kind of lived at home
Wow.
with my parents. So went to school in around that area. Panama Road School, started off there. Then moved to Otahu Intermediate, then Otahu College. Started off my, and then pretty much kickstarted my career while I was still in school.
Wow.
But I'll probably say that where rugby kind of started for me was, you know, mum and dad kind of lost their jobs when they were in the recession back in the 90s.
Wow.
Mid-90s and stuff. Dad had a big injury, couldn't get back into work. So, you know, they were finding it hard and trying to find things to, you know, to try to keep us afloat. And one thing that they did was, you know, they were quite good at was sending manioke, cassava, talo and lul from the island. So all the island produce, they used to send it to New Zealand, and then they'll sell it in New Zealand at the flea markets and stuff.
Wow.
So that was that was my little upbringing. But then also, you know, mum did that, mum dad did that, and then they started moving into like vegetables, watermelons. To this day, Dad's still picking watermelons and selling it up in Mount Richmond or by the Otahu League Club.
Wow.
But that was my upbringing. I was always at the farm picking watermelons, and then unloading containers, unloading bags of cassava, manioke, which was like, bro, it was like 40 kilos each second. I didn't like it. I was like, I didn't like the free. It was cold because it was freezing. I didn't like getting in the container, unloading it all. Didn't like going to the farm and loading watermelons into big bins and, you know, and going to the flea market and selling it. So yeah, that was like a little before story. I'll just say that that kind of got me to where I am because you know, I hated it. Dad, you know, I was always complaining to my dad. I was like, man, Dad, I don't want to do this. It's too hard, and you know. But I was still a little kid, and Dad once turned around and he was like, "Oh, you know what? If you don't want to do this work, here's a pair of boots." Gave me a pair of Schlesinger boots, and I remember those boots because it didn't fit me. It fit my little brother.
What?
So my little brother fit those boots, but you know, I had to squeeze my feet into those boots, and so I was like, yeah, it started off like that, and you know, and that kind of kicked me off, and from that day, I was like, man, I want to do something. I want to be better I want to be like those people on TV and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of just grew that seed that he gave me. I tried to make it grow at such a young age. But yeah, so I still got those marks on my feet now from those small boots that my little brother had to fit into. So yes, he'll play a game before me, and then I'll play, and he'll give me the boots after, and then I'll wear that after him, and that was our little go-to. But yeah, that's I would say that's what pretty much kickstarted my career, from what my dad told me to do, gave me, and then yeah. That's pretty much it.
Oh, right. That's man. That's whoa. What a man. Shucks. That's awesome. You know, story, especially for those that are watching, the young kids or the young athletes, because you know, a lot of them, or a lot of kids these days, right? They have the gears and they have and all of that, you know, but they want the dream, right? They want to play at the NRL. They want to play Super Rugby. But it's just finding that purpose and finding that why, and just hearing your story of your upbringing. You know, you're able to change what seemed to be a tough situation and use that for your advantage because you saw that as a reason to succeed. And that, you know, and to all the kids that are watching, you know, just hearing Cooper VUNA sharing that, like, I hope that encourages you, to wherever you are right now, we're in a time of COVID, maybe mum and dad has lost their job, maybe it's a struggle, but you do have a gift and a talent that God has blessed you with, and you just got to turn that perspective to, okay, what can I learn from what's happening to be better? And so, shout out for sharing that. I remember you've told this story to me before, and that's what always got me. But it's awesome that people get to hear that, because sometimes all they see is what happens on the screen.
Yeah.
They don't see the drive behind it. That's awesome. And so from that, you come through the ranks, and then talk to us about the NRL debut, Docs. Like, this is the dream of many watching right now, to run onto that field, NRL. How was that, Doc?
Man, it was man. To be honest, I didn't think I ever get that far. I only thought, playing on my street was, and just playing with my mates and going to play seniors, and that's pretty much it. But to be on that field amongst a lot of people, amongst great players, I was trying to take it all in, but it was hard because I was so emotional that I was playing at in a big game at such a young age. I was still in school at the time. I just turned 17, and I played my first NRL game. So, and I was still in school. So, I had to kind of grow up real quick and try to be a man at a young age. And that's it was. I would say it was more of a big emotional ride than the experience. But it was a game to remember.
Wow, that's. I remember watching your debut talks, and I was like, "Hey, who is this guy?" Because you just didn't come and make an NRL debut. You made an NRL debut and an NRL impact, and then you became like a local hero, and because of the way and the style and what you brought to the game, and that's what I guess a lot of people that watch you play, you bring the excitement, what they call the X factor. And all that. So, I remember that game. That's awesome, man. And so you did the Warriors, and then from there you came across. Is that when you came across to Newcastle, Lee?
Yeah. So I spent some years at the Warriors and moved over to Newcastle, and that's pretty much the pinnacle of my career and pinnacle of my name, I would say, because that club pretty much made who I am.
Far out. Yeah, I remember you in that jersey, because there's a few players that we both know that like Toasa, as well, Toa, brother Toa. I know you're watching Toa. The man. And I think we kind of connected back then through Toa as well. So what was it like being in Newcastle? So you moved from South Auckland, moving into Newcastle, like a lot of beaches, kind of different. Like, what was it transitioning to that life?
Man, it was different because I've never left home. I've always, mum and dad, I've always been by their side, and I've only been in Otahu. You have the old trips here with like junior Kiwis and sort of stuff at a young age, but you're going with like parents. Yeah. Parents would travel with the team and all that sort of stuff. But it was different, man, because I didn't know how to live at someone's house. I didn't know how to, I didn't have their how they call it in Tonga, and I was taeanga to a lot of things because I've always been at home, and my mom and dad pretty much did everything for me. So it was a good experience. I'll say the club picked me up from the airport, took me to a house. I was lucky enough to move in with another Kiwi guy, Terence Susu.
Terence Susu.
And he I played with him, New Zealand residents, before I got there. So I knew him from just the one game we played. And, bro, he helped me out, to be honest. Him and his partner, Elkie, helped me out big time. Looked after me for how many months or year that I was there. Bro, I was honestly, I didn't know how to live, but it was, another blessing for me to be in a house that, another Kiwi that knew what he was doing, and I kind of just was a sheep from then on. But good experience, and it's something that I always look back on.
That's awesome, Goose, because like I mentioned to you earlier, before we jumped on the interview, we kind of in a stage and a phase where we've created pathways for a lot of our young players, and a lot of them have moved out of home. And for some, we've got a couple of players in Sydney now who've been with the academy since they were 12, and now they're up there trying to shoot shield. And they just recently moved up there. They're 19. The clubs helped them with a house, and then so they're on that journey. Out of the campuses. Well, what would be some advice for any of it? And we've got some kids in Brisbane as well, and some ones that are watching right now, athletes right now that are wanting to be on that pathway. What would your advice be for these young athletes? Going away from home. What would be things that you would give the advice to them that they need to focus on?
Man, I would say, from the top of my head, I would say it's an experience that you'll look back on.
Yeah.
So take it all in, learn a lot of things, like not only learn about going to training, but learn whoever you're staying with, learn with whoever you come across, learn about the city, learn about, because those are all those teachings and all those lessons that you find from all that sort of stuff, and being away from your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You'll look back at it, and then you'll be grateful that you've come across that, because it will help you when you grow up and when you go out into the bigger world, go into other countries and stuff. It's such experiences. It was hard for us because it was myself, and then my wife came over with my son, and we're away from family, and I've never been away from family. But we kind of told each other this will be an experience, and this will be a lesson for us that we can share with our kids in it, and it's all about being in the rugby game and the journey and traveling the world. Is all the lessons you learn from the young age, and it's just adding into, and the experiences you find and come across, you're just adding into the basket, and then you start to share with everyone else, which is nice.
That's awesome advice, Toko, because like I said, there's a lot of young athletes that are going away now, and we do a mentoring call with them every week just to check in with them. But we didn't have that in our day. We didn't have something like INAM around to just keep us in check. Pretty much. So, man, just to hear that advice, for those that are watching it on their pathways, really take in what people are saying there in regards to getting to know the environment, getting to know the families or the people that are there to help support you, because it's really, really important. And look what it's done for Cooper. It's taking them around the world, taking them through NRL and that. And so from league, you made the switch to rugby, and that's when we kind of really connected. And that. So tell us about that. Most people grow up wanting to be NRL, right? And they probably have other dreams to play Super Rugby, to be a All Black or Wallaby, but then they kind of stop at I'll just stay comfortable here. But for you, you kind of opened up the door, saying, "No, man, you want to play NRL? You want to play Super Rugby? You can still play Super Rugby." So talk to us about that experience, Super Rugby, Wallabies, Tonga.
Yeah, bro. So it was something out of nowhere. But I knew somewhere along the line of my career, my first step was, I really wanted to be established in the NRL game. I wanted to be a regular player first. I ticked that off, and then the second part to that, I was like, I want to impress my dad. Dad was an elite player. Dad, he was a rugby man, and he was just rugby through and through. Wow. He'll teach me here and there. He'll talk to me here and there. But I knew in his heart he wanted one of his sons to play rugby. Yeah. So the opportunity came towards the end of my contract with Newcastle. Melbourne Rebels approached me. They flew up to Newcastle and we had a good talk with them, and they said, "Be a good opportunity for you to make the switch and to play rugby and try to represent Australia if I go well."
Wow.
And but in my head the whole time I was like, bro, my dad will be happy with this, because he'll be over the moon, because he was a rugby player and he wants one of his sons to be a rugby player. And I was like, yeah, man, that's me. I'm going to do this. Not for anyone, not for myself, but for my dad, because I knew deep down in his heart he wanted something, one of his sons to play rugby. So I was, man, good opportunity for me, because it not only open up more doors, but it and prolong my career. It's you know, I look back now and I think to myself, it's like, man, what a, you know, to leave at that time. You know, I think I was at the peak of my career in league, and I was like, man, to leave then, you know, and to approach all this sort of stuff, and, you know, approach this game with, it's been a blessing because, you know, I see the guys I've played with NRL with, and they tried to make the switch to rugby, like now, and, you know, it's a bit too late, but at that time, you know, I'm grateful for my Heavenly Father pretty much for, you know, he blessed me with the opportunity, but he opened up another door for me.
Amen. Wow, that's it's amazing because you know, we saw that journey. You know, like I said, like you're a household name at NRL, right? Every time we'll see the highlights in them, like you're always the impact that you made. You know, you weren't just the ordinary player; you were the X Factor player. And then to see, and then to see you make the transition into rugby and then still have that same impact, and then, you know, going to play Wallabies. But how was that like to play in the Wallabies?
Man, bro, I was over the moon because I know, you know, I think, you know, both of us, we know growing up in New Zealand, we've always wanted to be an All Black because, you know, New Zealand is a playground for New Zealand rugby, and it's a playground to try. Every kid in New Zealand wants to be an All Black, and that was instilled in our heads from that age.
Yeah.
And still up to this day now, you know, kids are coming through. They want to be the next All Black star. They want to be, you know, this All Black. And yeah, the opportunity came to me to play for the Wallabies. I was like, man, I know it's not the All Blacks, but it's something, you know, that I know that my parents will be proud of, and I'll be proud of, because, you know, that's the pinnacle of our game, is reaching the national level, and playing for your country and putting on a jersey. And man, I was over the moon. I learned from previous, you know, playing with Matema Tonga and playing in the World Cup and that and league, and putting on those jerseys. It was just emotional. Everything was just an emotional ride. You know, and then when I put on the Wallabies one, I was like, I'm going to take this in. I want to make sure I you know, take that energy, take that emotion. I want to make sure I absorb it all and make it an experience. And one of the best, it was awesome. One of the best games, I wouldn't say game, one of the best opportunities I have to represent Australia and to put on that jersey, and, you know, didn't sing the anthem because, yeah, I was still a Kiwi at heart. And, but I was, you know, I guess it's just the same as, yeah, whatever jersey you put on, you just, you know, you're grateful for, and you'll play your heart out for the country.
No,
but it was good.
It was awesome to, I mean, it was awesome because, and this is what I love about you, Toko, you know, because, you know, in the early years when we moved down to Melbourne, you were so involved in helping in the community. You know, people don't know this. You know, Gibbs was involved helping the community. He was out there putting down cones for touch days and all of that stuff. At the same time, still doing his professional career and all that. You know, you don't see many superstars do that. You know, but that's what I mean. That, you know, for you, Gibbs, and this is something that for the young people to learn, is that, you know, success is you know, it's not just about getting to a destination, but it's about what kind of imprint you want to leave on the lives of others. How many people are better off because of a connection, you know, and so that's what, you know, Cooper did, right? And he still does. You know, he's on this call with us, and you know, he could be sleeping and resting with training, but he's on this call because why? Because of his heart to serve. And it's an important lesson that you need to take away, young athletes, is however far you go in your career, always give back. Sure. Never forget the roots, where you come from, and how, you know, you can help encourage and empower others. So that's awesome, Toko. And then from there, you went to, you know, you made the switch to Tonga. Well, that's the dream, man. NRL, you know, you're playing Wallabies, all that, you know, for Tonga. Like, your dad must have been like the happiest guy.
Right, that was the icing of the cake, Toko. I thought, you know, because I was out of the country, I couldn't play again for the Wallabies, and I was over here in the UK, and I've been. Was when you were back at when I was starting at the Rebels, and I just started. Did you play in that Tongan team?
We played against that Tongan team that came to Melbourne, eh?
Yeah, and it was from that day, they started talking to me. They wanted me to play for Tonga, but then I kind of just stayed with Australia.
Yeah.
He still hit me up then, and then
I remember that.
Started talking to me when I was in Japan. So it was just little seeds that they were throwing at me, and kind of just planted and grew when I was here. When I made it here in the UK, and I was like, look, I'm far away from home. I think it's time to try and make the switch to play for Tonga. Which I was grateful for, because I kind of got in through a little loophole that they've closed. They've closed now.
Wow.
So quite grateful that I kind of got through that, and to represent Tonga. Man, icing on the cake for my old man. He went next level, bro. I tried to fly him to nearly every game that I played, but over here when we play in the November tours and stuff, it's like a 24-hour flight for my dad, and he's like, "That's too far for me. I don't want to come over there." But when we play in Tonga and stuff, I get him over. I make sure that he comes, and just to see his face, it's the icing of the cake.
Man, that's amazing, Toko, because your dad, he would have looked back, to those early days when he was whakatau or selling the watermelons and
watermelons.
And then just seeing, just the fruits of his work, just seeing you, and that's probably one of the best gifts that we can give our parents, is just doing our best to succeed, because I know at the end of the day, when our parents pass away, all they want to know is that they did their best and that the kids are doing well. And I know that. I know that that's something that I know that your dad will never forget, man. And say, kids, whatever the gifts and talents you have, out there, man, go out there and make the most of it. Mum and dad, they sacrifice a lot. You probably see your mum or your dad cooking or going to work, early in the morning, and the best way you can. They don't ask for anything. They just want you to do well, and Cooper, his story and what he's been able to do for his family.
At a young age, we don't really see that. We don't see our parents grinding. We don't see them go through the struggles. We think that they're all good.
Yeah. Because they don't share much. They just keep it to themselves, eh?
Keep it to themselves, eh? Because they're like, our parents, old school Tongans, straight from the islands, and have escaped the island to go to New Zealand to find a better opportunity. Yeah. Not for them, but for their future of their kids. Yeah, and that's what our youth don't really see. It's like they think it's just all, they go to work, they work shift, they come home, still laughing. But really, deep inside, they hurting. But you won't understand until you get older, and then you look back and it's like, man, I'm going to do this for you, mum and dad. But you're older, but you should do it from now.
Yeah,
if you're watching now, go straight away, man. You have to start living a life with your parents, making them happy, try help them out in every way that you can. And you blossom. When you blossom with your parents, and they get to taste that fruit as well. So it's good.
That's awesome, Chris. And no better motivator there than to, the family and all that. So shout for sharing that, Toko. Just to kind of switch up gears before we get to the final, you running down the sideline and scoring a try in the corner with your legs out, and you're diving in there. Because sports is sports, a lot of pressure comes from sports and everything like that. So, what's one? Because I know that you're a DJ, right? As well, oh man, DJ.
Not as good as you talk about.
So to kind of balance everything, right? I know that you're a faith man as well, family man, but to kind of balance everything, to kind of have everything in check so that you have your time. Was that why you started DJing, or was just kind of just to kind of give you that time just to chill? Yeah,
DJ was like the safe havens we kind of just fall into to get away from the world, get away from the stress of the game. music was one of those things that kind of wind you down and whatnot, and I quite enjoy it. It was one of those things that I learned along the way during my career. I learned, I got my pair of decks from a Tongan family in Newcastle when I was there, and he started teaching me over there, and then I went to Super and stuff, and I kind of just learned from a lot of people I met through rugby, and they taught me throughout my career, and to this day I'm still learning. So it was like my PlayStation. I didn't have a PlayStation, and
so there was no Fortnite. No Fortnite.
Yeah, no Fortnite, and it was just DJing. I was just like trying to learn new things on YouTube, and still to this day, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still watching people go live and watching YouTube clips and all that sort of. So yeah, DJ was just a fun thing, a fun little hobby for me.
That's awesome, man. And for those that are watching, you got to have that, little thing on the side that kind of just keeps you, having fun and enjoying what you do. And so for Coops, DJing, and that's awesome. So if anyone wants to follow you or your mixes or anything, where can they follow you, Coops?
Man, I need to get to your level to start learning how to make mixes. At the moment, it's like me and my four walls.
Now you already surpassed the level that we're on, Docker. You're on the next level. But no, that's good. That's good that kids say just make sure you have that thing on the side that it can be your hobby. Could be painting, it could be producing, could be whatever it is. Yeah,
DJing, and bro, I like to learn. I like to try and because I wasn't good at school. I wasn't book smart, so I'm still trying to upskill my brain and trying to learn new things. Yeah. And I'm buying courses online, which I wouldn't do, but it's one of those things. It's like if I want to be successful in another world, I have to start upskilling myself while I'm playing rugby, and I'm still learning, watching YouTube clips, listening to podcasts, man. Wow. And now that you've got this podcast, I'll be watching a lot of this, adding this to my watch list.
Man.
And bro, just learning new things, man. Learning little gems that people throw out there, and and it's good to have, and it's a good learn.
Oh, that's awesome, Coops. And such a man of wisdom, Doko. I'm going to call you the professor. Professor Coops. Shot, Doko. Now we're coming to the home straight, Doko, with the last, 1 minute of the game. And, I've got the ball, and I'm like, man, for a long pass to you, you catch it on the wing, and now it's you to do your thing. Score a try in the corner with your feet outside, and you're down in the corner. And so this is called try time, and so try time is just sharing something that you learn on your career, like something you learn from a challenge, right? But then also encouraging. If you were to speak directly to the young people right now in their families, especially in this time of COVID. There are people out there that they don't know how to cope at this time because they love to be in contact or see people, right? Or like I've shared with you before, rugby season and league season is pretty much done here for the young kids. There are parents that have lost their jobs, and to score the try tonight, learning from your own experience, challenges that you face. What would be some advice that you could give to the viewers on how they can still build momentum in this time and not lose sight of their dream?
Oh, for sure. This is probably the perfect time for it. And you hear a lot of people talk about, COVID's only COVID, but it's what you do during this time. Being away from work and being with your family. This is probably the best time for me to be with my family. I've never, stayed home for like more than a month. I'm always up and going. I'm always traveling to other places during my rugby time, but it's a blessing in disguise, I would say, to be at home with my family, learning and teaching with my kids. But probably the best advice, I'm trying to tell my son right now, and he's 13 years old, and he's bigger than me, and trying to give him advice and trying to steer him away from temptation and other bad things out there in this world, and trying to give them their lessons that, not to follow my path, because not that I only have good paths, good stories, but there's some bad stuff in my journey. But, advice during this time and lockdown and that is, probably the best thing. And, example was a few weeks ago, I'd say over in Melbourne and Brimbank with that incident there. Probably say, we've all been through, all that sort of stuff. Myself and you, growing up in New Zealand, and a lot of, older guys, we've seen things like that in our time. But, for our youth and that, decision making is probably the biggest thing. And decision making the right choices, and decision making and making all the right choices goes a long way. It's not only during this COVID time, and it pretty much should start here at the COVID time, because for a youth, you'll be sitting back and you'll be like, should I get up and train? Should I do that, or should I just stay and play Fortnite throughout the whole time? But it's like the choice of making the right choices is like, I'm here by myself. I want to work on myself. I want to make sure that I upskill myself mentally. I want to make sure that I train myself to build me up physically. And, I want to, and when COVID's finished, I can jump in there, and when season starts or whatever you're doing in after COVID, you'll jump on it like nothing, because you already prepared yourself for that moment. But also, on the flip side of that is just finding the right people, finding your right friends, your right circle. Find your circle that will make you happy, that will help you thrive and help you reach your goals. And that's, for our youth, that's probably the biggest learning, I would say, because, I had friends that were growing up, that they went a different path. And my little brother's probably a good example to share with advices, because me and my little brother was probably, my little brother was way better than me. If we speak to people back home that know us, my little brother was way better than me. He played Sydney Roosters, SG Bull. He was at the Warriors for a bit, but it was his choices and his decision making that he made throughout his career that made him not the man he is today. So, and I kind of had the same upbringing as my brother, and I made the right choices. I made choices that at a young age I wanted to do other things, but I was like, look, I think I can make something out of this. But so my brother's like in and out of prison, and here I am on the other side of the world. So it's like two examples. I would say probably a fine example of two stories that, one can go wrong, one can go bad, one could go good. So, so I say make the right choices and not only about life, but, about yourself. Just know yourself, build yourself. And when the time comes right, bro, you're ready to just jump on it with confidence that you'll grab every opportunity with both hands.
Oh, I love that, man. Well, let's thank you, Coops, man. I love that because it's so evident in your journey, and the things that I picked up there where you're talking was number one, working on yourself first, using this time to work on yourself and preparation, and having the right circle, and then everything comes down to choice. And I guess it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning about having a big dream. When you have a big dream, you'll do not what it takes, but whatever it takes. And that's what I've seen in your journey, Toko, is that you've just done whatever it takes. People have dreams and that, but they're afraid, or they make poor choices, and so their dreams have no legs, and then their dreams just stay in their mind, and they just become dreamers, right?
Yeah.
But tonight, audience, the kids, families, parents, this is for everybody. you've heard from Cooper. You know, you've got to not lose sight of your dream. You know, use this time to work on yourself, which is something that even I've done for me, work on myself, and then prepare. Because when COVID finishes, you still got to live life.
Yeah.
But then in these times, like Cooper said, you know, have the right people around you. There's balcony people, you know, that will pull you up as they grow and move forward. But also, you know, every response that we make is connected to our choices. So, Coops, man, such words of wisdom, Toko, and you know, tonight we're gonna officially give you the degree of professor. You know, you're gonna earn the Ainama, you know, masters of I don't know, bachelor or something. You know, want to send it out to you. Don't want to send it out to you.
It's good, man. Bro, I love what you guys are doing with our youth, especially because, you know, that's where it starts. It's our youth days, and you know, I remember my youth days, and to this day, I was like, man, I want to like help our youth, and I like what you do. I love what you do, I should say, and what your wife and Marcel and that are doing with our youth back home, because it's evident that you know, little things will grow, and when you grow up and you look back at it, it's amazing to see, because you'll be like me now, and you want to be like, oh, flip, man, I wish I helped out these guys when I was in youth. And you know, probably the best thing I should say is, like, I remember being at school and we had mentoring teachers come to school, and funny enough was one of our good mates, Tia.
Oh, was that? Hey, that was our team, our A team back in the day.
That's our A team, bro. I remember Tia coming into my school when I was at Otago College, and he was, you know, he shined the light on us as well. And he, you know, I still remember that to this day, because he was probably the best. If I didn't have a mentor like him, and I probably know for sure that, you know, youth in Ainama and that will be looking, bro. I love what Chris is doing. I love what Marcel's doing, and you know, when I grow up, I want to look back at that, and I want to try and teach the next. And that's, bro, I love what you're doing, man.
Well, thank you, Toko. But like I said at the beginning, you know, you played a huge part in that, because you know, you believed in me. You know, I was just coming from Sydney, knew no one here in Melbourne, yet you took me under your wing, and you kind of showed me the ropes, and I'll never forget that, Toko. You know, and that's why, for me, this is not just another podcast, but it's an important one, because I never got a chance to say thank you to you. And so, on behalf of myself and my family and our team at Ainama, I want to say thank you to you, but also take the opportunity to honour you for the years of service that you have done for the game, on and off the field. You know, if you didn't hear it enough, or you didn't hear it from people, or you're going to hear it from us, thank you for leading by a great example. Everything that you did in the NRL, everything that you did for Wallabies, Igaletahi, Matema Tonga, because you know, what you've done is inspiring a generation. And I want to encourage you kids, you know, Coops, you hear from his story that he started from, you know, a very young age, saw the hard work that his parents were doing, and that sparked up his dream, and he's never looked back. And you look at him now, he's played, you know, double international, you know, league rugby, NRL, Super Rugby now in England, 4 kids, living the life, living the dream. And that can be you as well, regardless of what your circumstances, regardless of what things are like that. But it comes down to what Cooper was saying tonight, you know, working on you, all right? Prepare now, you know, choose the right people to be around. You know, they're either 5 steps ahead of you where you can learn from them, or they want the same dream as you. And the most important one is make the right choices based on your dream. If it's not going to help you to get to your dream, then don't do it. All right. And so, Coops, I'll offer kako. You know, we please send our love to your wife and to the kids. And we're going to have to get you on a round 2, bro, because I enjoyed tonight. Man, I feel like we could talk for like 25 hours, but you know, I know that you're going to go and have your rest for your day and for your training. But we do have what we call our I Am mentoring program, which runs on a Friday night. And that's, so maybe at some stage, you know, and this is where we have a Zoom call with all our athletes.
We'll
probably get you at some stage to come onto that and speak to them directly.
Cool, man.
They can ask you some questions, but document anything you need from outside of. You want some corned beef, or you know, you want some stuff from the New Zealand shop over here. Let us know, Taco. We will send it to you. But again, Coops, man, thank you again, Doko. And just to score the conversion, because you scored the try now, there was an amazing try, all right? Amazing try in the corner there to kick the conversion to win the game. What is your final words? Anything that you want to share? Any shout-outs?
I think
like that?
Probably something I didn't touch on was, and you touched on it with having a dream. When you have a dream, write it down. I like to write down my goals. I like to write down my dreams. And then I show it to my wife, and write it down. Show someone, show your friend, show Chris, Marcel, because it holds you accountable. Someone knows about it, and then they can help you out and help you grow, which is cool. And man, don't never stop dreaming, bro. Because I was at a farm picking watermelons, and then now I'm here, and I don't have to look back and pick watermelons again. But that's the dream that I had, was to travel the world, and here I am. So keep dreaming, write it down, show someone so that they can hold you accountable to it, and then and it'll help you grow and chase it, go get it.
So man, that's awesome, Doko. And man, like I said, just always grateful, for you, Doko, and everything that you've done. And there are many takeaways that Coops has given, tonight. Audience, make sure you write it down, and make sure, like I say in all the podcasts, it's cool that we can listen and take all of this experience. But what's going to be more important, and I know Coops going to agree with me, is how you apply what you learned tonight, right? Action. Don't be there's a word that I have in Melbourne, Doko, it's called Dibabu. All right, Dibabu stands for don't be a build-ups. All right, don't be a build-ups, okay? And, just listen and not action. Be a person of action. The Bible says it, be hearers and doers of the word. Be hearers and doers of what you learn tonight. So, Coops, that brings us to the end of the game. What an amazing game we played tonight. You scored in the corner, you kicked the conversion, with your final thoughts there. And now we have won the championship. And, I know the kids and everybody watching now are going to leave feeling more empowered for their own game that they're playing in their life. And on behalf of Aina Matoko, big thank you to you and big shout out, bro. And anything you need, please let us.
Likewise. Yeah. Even if your students want to hit me up, Facebook me, Instagram me, bro, I'm happy to help out Aina boys and help you try and help you achieve what your dream is. So thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Doko. Well, blessings to you, and get some great rest over there. I know it's late there, but that's what I love about you, Doko, is your go-giving heart. And then so that's our episode done for tonight. We started the warm-up. We played the game. Cooper scored the winning try and kicked the conversion to finish our podcast tonight. And so again, on behalf of everybody, Cooper, Maro Aupito, and to all the viewers, let's give a round of applause for Coops. And join us again next week for another episode of More Than Just a Game. But like Cooper said, hit him up on social media. He is a go-giver, and he's there to help. So thank you again for joining in tonight. Thank you again, Cooper VUNA. And like I always say, look after yourself. Iron sharpens Zion, and